So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development Tactics podcast. Today, the audio might be a bit different. I do hope that I'm able to kind of prepare it in a way that is better. We're not going to go ahead with New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, but we are going to go through some rare things just out of convenience, to be honest, because my phone is not charged, therefore I'm using this mic, and so I do not need to charge it and wait for it and have to deal with it then, but can just leave it there. Yeah, it's not charged. Yeah, as I said, I do hope very, very dearly that the audio isn't too bad, and well, it is what it is in the end. So, yes, let's move on. These stealth bombers fly over my property daily. Finally got a decent picture of one. I mean, they look quite sick. I gotta be honest, these are those stealth bombers those typical ones we all kind of have in mind when you think about some chat type thing that is stealthy, because apparently there's also just some amazing, um, amazing, it's not technique. It's not technique, but it is tech. Well, let's just call it tech behind the whole thing. What's going on? Everything is broken. But I do just vary input volume. That's the problem, I guess. So it should be fine, and I do not have to shout like a dumbass. And yeah, let's see. US administers 1 million vaccine doses for third straight day. What? Cool. I appreciate that. I think that is amazing. Looking at you, well, anyway. Why? Now I get it. I'm not logged in. That's the reason why there's so much bullshit going on. Let's just hop onto the other browser very, very quickly. There we go, there we're also having deciding to be better. There we're having all sorts of things, all sorts of pretty amazing things. What is actually, there is one more vice to get rid of. Me and my husband have quit nicotine. I quit drinking and kicked all social media. I started exercising daily. He started working on his hobbies more. For the last couple of months, we are really juggling a lot and making our lives better. There's one more thing I need to kick. Reddit. That is the last one. Well, I don't know. Like, I've never ever been such a big fan of killing social media and not just dealing with it at all and whatnot, because I don't know if this is going to make things better. I don't know if this is what we should be doing, what one should be doing. Yeah. By the way, I could also do it like that. The last time it's been pretty shitty, but I hope that this time it is quite fine. At least it is loud enough, I would say. But yeah, should be decent at least, let's put it like that. And that is good enough for me. Your favorite book that you have never seen recommended? There's a tendency to recommend the same books on here: depressing books, The Road, Never Let Go, horror, Stephen King, etc. So what is your book that you think everyone should read that maybe isn't so well known or just haven't had a chance to recommend? Let's actually see, because it is indeed the case that most often the exact same motherfucking book gets recommended all the fucking time, short advice, which, I mean, I can understand it. It is like, well, 80% of the people like 20% of the books. It's probably going to be the case, I bet. And, well, yeah, on one hand, I have to admit then that it makes sense to recommend those books that got recommended quite often by other people as well, because the chance is pretty high then that this person is also going to enjoy it, is also going to like it. And, well, I think then it makes sense, doesn't it? When it is already a good book, and it's proven to be a good one by a ton of people. So I think that it is. I mean, I do understand the whole thing, the whole problem. Is this better? I think it is. No, not really. Hello, 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 hello. I guess this is, yeah, that is the one and only thing. Death with Interruptions by Jose Saramago. I never have a chance to suggest this book because it defies any labeling. The Reapers Are Angels is so good. Well, I mean, I could go on going through all of them, but I don't know what purpose it could serve. It is gonna serve, but out of angst, I am having to alter that a tiny little bit. Let's give it in the middle. Yeah, I think. Can I do that? I think that is fine. Yes. Let's see. Image at Latimore. Fuck that. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. If you aren't willing to look like a foolish beginner, you'll never become a graceful master. And yes, that might be indeed the case. Most often in the beginning, everything is interesting and everything is like a challenge. And well, yeah, that is it. Everything in the end, or in the beginning, is quite a challenge, and over time things become easier and easier and easier. But I pretty much dislike that. I pretty much dislike being in new situations, which is, you know, a bad habit and or a bad attitude towards those things, because you can learn so much, and one can learn so much from, you know, things. But I do have pretty big problem, or a pretty big problem with new situations and yada yada yada. And I always get pretty nervous. It's always been the case for me, but enjoy. So this is my suggestion, this is my advice. Enjoy new things and try to as well do new things quite often. And but I would as well say that by doing new things more often, that you're just gonna get used to it. That you're gonna get used to the feeling of, I don't know what to do. And most often you don't know what to do. You know, every single time. I mean, it is something different when you read or when you get, you know, told that, okay, you have to get that and do this and that and these and those, and then you have to do this and then you have to do that. So you don't know the place, you don't know the people, you don't know nothing. You maybe know what you have to do, as I described before now. But it is always going to be completely different. It's never ever going to be the case that everything is going to be so flawlessly executed, or you're going to be able to flawlessly execute it, just period, you know? When it is a completely new environment, you've never been there, completely new people, you've never talked to them, you've never worked with them, it is not going to be easy. But the thing is, knowing that and just not judging yourself is the way to go. You've never been there. You've never worked there. How the fuck should you know what to do? How the fuck should you be good at doing whatever you should be doing? You've never been there. You've never done that. Like, sometimes we do just have over-the-top expectations of ourselves, which are just dumb, you know, and unnecessary. You know, it's putting you under just such a lot of pressure that, yeah, why? You know, it's not making your life any better. It is in the end making everything worse, to be honest. I am moved on how did Freddie Mercury spend his last moments before his death. By the time we were recording these other tracks after Innuendo, we had the discussion, and we knew that we were totally on borrowed time, because Freddie had been told that he wouldn't make it to that point. I think our plan was to go in there whenever Freddie felt well enough, just to make as much use of him as possible. We basically lived in the studio for a while, and when he would call and say, I can come in for a few hours, our plan was to just make as much use of him as we could, He told us, get me to sing anything, write me anything, and I will sing it, and I will leave you as much as I possibly can. Which is indeed great, doing that. Not thinking about yourself, but indeed thinking about other people and what could be useful for them. It's great. It's really amazing. And as I'm reading it, it kind of reminds me of, well, a mindset, or maybe the mindset that I'm having. And I don't know, like, I like putting other people on, and I like using my platform or my capabilities or my connections or whatever to help other people and help them out and get them started. I really appreciate that. I really like that. And I don't know, like, why shouldn't I? If I have the capability and the possibility to do so, why wouldn't I help out my friends? Why wouldn't I tell them those things that I figured out through endless hours of research or whatever it might be? I don't know, like, it would just make sense. Is 21 too old to improve myself in every aspect of my life? No, I'm 20 and I'm still having to improve so many different things. But I know this is possible and I am capable of doing so. Sometimes it is better, sometimes it is worse. Some days are better and some days are worse. This is it. Today is actually a pretty shitty day. I feel like I'm, quite stressed out. There is so much that I still need to do because the whole day long I didn't do those things that are on my list, as recording and whatnot, just because I didn't feel like it. But now is the time that I just have to do it, and then I'm going to eat something while I'm, probably going to edit that, and so on and so forth. But it is what it is, it is what it is. I released a variable psychedelic display type voice. Okay. Don't focus on going 0 to 100. Focus on going 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, and so on until you get to 100. Build sustainable habits through gradual progression. Yes. Coming back to the whole expectations thing, like, if you've never done something before, you're not going to be the best at it. Unless you're pretty talented, this can be the case, and I don't want to crush anyone's dreams or whatever it might be, but the possibilities are quite bad, and are quite low for you to just be extraordinarily good at something that you've never done before. Unless this is kind of based on a certain attribute that you're having, I don't know, playing volleyball the first time and you're a pretty athletic person and you've played, I don't know, tennis before, or you've played something else before that is somehow related or can somehow be related to volleyball, then yeah, you're probably going to be better than the average dude or the average idiot. But are you going to be 10% best of the world? Probably not. Just coming back all the way around to expectations and having too big expectations or too small expectations and whatnot. Like, life has nothing to offer me. 30 years old, there's nothing more this life can really offer me. There's nothing in my future that's worth living another 40 years for. What would Stoicism say about living for no reason, essentially? It's actually quite an interesting question, and it might actually come from having achieved everything that you can. I mean, if there's nothing, well, or it could be depression, either one of those things. So either you just, it's difficult. On one hand, I believe that a person could think that way, that has it all. There's nothing more to get. Life is not offering anything more. But on the other hand, this person could just also be completely depressed and is not seeing all the good thing life can offer and life can have, and so on. Self-pity is another form of an overinflated ego. Having an overinflated ego makes it hard to see the truth or reality in the world and your place in it. If you've come here for advice, I'd look into ways to recover from an inflated ego, usually being of service to others having a purpose, etc. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus have written about those topics. This is the first time I've heard this. Not sure how, but it is dead on. A good placement. Yes, because as I said, this is what I meant with depression quite. Not seeing reality, not seeing things the quote-unquote right way, or how reality in the end is. There is some distortion going on, and one of the main takeaways for me is his contemplation on whether to continue trying to survive or giving it to the horrid conditions of Auschwitz. It did not really matter, and this is a quote by the way, it did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead to thinking of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life, daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and in right contact. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it consistently sets for each individual. Yes, it of course is difficult, and one needs to have the right mindset to do so, and it is something at the time that I'm really having a hard time dealing with. In the end, we ourselves create life and form our life with the thoughts that we're having. And at this point in time, my thoughts do not serve me at all. They hinder me from doing quite a bunch of things, and it takes quite a ton of energy to deal with them, to be honest. So sometimes it is just easier to live that life that my thoughts are giving me, because as I said, it is more work to push against them and push through them and whatnot. It is a process in the end, and I can understand that. And it is also due to several factors, that can make somebody feel, depressed or just not well. But in the end, we ourselves create our life. So by saying and thinking, okay, there's nothing more that I can do, which is actually completely impossible because there is still more to do, but you might not be motivated to do so. In the end, we alter our life by thinking in certain ways. Period. Nothing more, nothing less. We are in charge of our life. We can deal with things and we can make things happen. But yeah, with that being said, a pretty important point for me. I'm gonna end the episode. I do hope that the audio is fine. I hope at least then that I'm able to recover it to some bit. Anyway, see you soon. Bye bye.